Here and plan on how to go out and kill people and stuff like that. That's not how I am or who I am.
January 29th, 1979. A quiet California morning shattered when 16-year-old Brenda Spencer opened fire on an elementary school, killing 2 and wounding 9. Then told reporters, "I don't like Mondays." Decades later, her chilling act still stuns the world. These are killer kids who flipped out at disrespectful interviews.
What do you think is going to happen?
So you find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree?
Yes.
Is that unanimous?
Yes.
1993, the camera shows a 13-year-old boy with bright red hair and thick glasses, handcuffed and escorted by police. His name is Eric Smith, and what he did would haunt the small town of Savona, New York, forever. August 2nd, 1993, Savona was still waking up when a boy named Derek Roby, known as the unofficial mayor of his neighborhood, set off alone for summer camp. It was the first time his mother ever let him walk by himself, but it was just 1 block down the street. She watched him hop away, not knowing those would be their last moments together.
Neighbors watched in disbelief as their quiet street was turned into a crime scene. Derek Roby was beaten to death.
Autopsy reports show he died from blows to the head.
The discovery of Derek's battered body that afternoon stunned the tight-knit community. Police launched a massive manhunt, convinced a drifter had committed the horrific crime. But as days passed with no leads, suspicion began to turn inward. Eric Smith was just another kid in Savona. He was often bullied for his red hair, glasses, and ears, and he spent most days alone, riding his bike or hanging around town. No one suspected the freckle-faced boy could be capable of such violence. He even offered to help investigators with their search, playing the concerned citizen while hiding a dark secret. 4 days after Derek's funeral, Eric broke down and confessed to his family, telling his mother,
"I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry. I killed that boy."
His trial revealed the brutal details. Eric had lured Derek into the woods, promising to show him a shortcut. There, he killed him, dropped rocks on his head, and poured Kool-Aid from Derek's lunch into his wounds. Adult Eric would later say from prison,
"I couldn't carry the pain and anguish that I felt anymore. I rode my bike around and I seen Derek. I can take my anger out on him."
War come. The court eventually found him guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 9 years to life in prison, becoming one of the youngest people ever tried as an adult in New York. Derek's parents, Dale and Doreen Roby, faced the devastating reality that their son's killer might someday walk free. Doreen Roby said of the endless parole hearings,
"For nearly 3 decades, we relived our son's murder every 2 years. They could decide that, well, now he's done his time, and we're gonna let him go. It scares the hell out of me."
Eric spent his formative years in juvenile detention before moving to adult prison. Psychologists noted changes in him over the years. By 2009, he claimed to be a different person. He said,
"I'm not the same person. You can label me a monster, a cold-blooded killer, a demon child, Satan incarnate. Doesn't mean that's who I am."
He acknowledged the tragic irony of his transformation into what he hated most.
And I became the bully that I hated in school. I became the individual who dished out pain to someone who didn't deserve it.
2021, after 10 parole denials, Eric finally convinced the board he was ready for release. He had found religion, gotten engaged to a lawyer who had written to him about the juvenile justice system, and completed vocational training. He told the board,
"I'm not a threat. The 13-year-old kid that took Derek's life is not the man sitting in front of you talking.
I want to, get married, raise a family, hold down, a job, pursue the American dream."
But many questioned whether true redemption was possible for someone who had committed such a horrific crime at such an age.
February 1st, 2022.
After 28 years behind bars, Eric Smith walked out of prison a free man. He moved to Queens, New York, under strict parole conditions. Derek Roby's parents, while relieved he wasn't returning to Savona, still grappled with the reality of their son's killer living among society again. Yet, many people were wondering if Eric Smith would be a success story, or somebody were pointing to and saying, "The system blew it with that one." The answer remains uncertain. Eric Smith's case forces us to confront difficult questions about juvenile justice, rehabilitation, and the possibility of redemption for those who commit the darkest crimes at such ages. But Eric isn't the only one who made us wonder how far someone his age could go. The next one snapped and took it out on the people he loved most.
I see 7 references to statements you made to friends about killing your parents. If you kill my mom, I'll give you my Lincoln.
Yeah.
They thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too until I just started thinking.
July 16th, 2011, 17-year-old Tyler Hadley made a Facebook post that would mask a horrific crime.
Party at my crib tonight. Maybe.
But what looked like a typical high school house party invitation was about to become evidence in one of the most chilling crimes committed by a minor. Tyler Hadley had decided weeks earlier how he would kill his parents. The motive was nothing but resentment and, well, a burning desire to throw a party he'd never be allowed to host. He'd even told a friend about his plan, boasting that having a big party after killing your parents had never been done before. That Saturday, after his parents returned home, Tyler locked the family's black Labrador in a closet as he knew the dog would protect them. He then hid his parents' phones to prevent any interruptions. At 5 p.m., he took 3 ecstasy pills and stood behind his mother, Mary Jo, as she worked at her computer. Without warning, Tyler attacked her with the back end of a claw hammer. Hearing her screams, his father, Blake, rushed in and froze at the horrifying sight. He asked, "Why?" Tyler's cold response was,
Why the fuck not?
and then he turned the weapon on his father.
I felt my face contracting this way in a maniacal rage. I can't even contort my muscles like that and just attempt it. I can't even sit here and try to do that.
After the brutal murders, Tyler dragged both bodies into the master bedroom and spent 3 hours cleaning up. He piled household items, linens, books, picture frames, towels, on top of the corpses, as if trying to erase their memory. The hammer, still covered in blood, was left between their bodies. But Tyler didn't stop there. He immediately began using his parents' credit cards for party supplies, even being caught on ATM surveillance as he withdrew cash. That night, 60 teens arrived for the party, most unaware that his parents lay dead just down the hall. Some guests noticed a strange smell and blood in various parts of the home, but the party continued. During the night, Tyler confided in several people. He pulled aside his best friend, Michael Mandel, and confessed everything. At first, Mandel didn't believe him until Tyler unlocked the master bedroom and revealed the horrific scene. Incredibly, Mandel stayed at the party for hours before finally calling a crime hotline to report the murders.
An anonymous tip from a crime line in Orlando. The anonymous tip advised that he killed both of his parents last night at 5 p.m. He used the back of a hammer and that they can be found in dead at this location.
Tyler was arrested early the next morning. Police found the bodies right where Mandel had described, and Tyler was taken into custody. While awaiting trial, he adopted the nickname Hammer Boy and signed autographs for fellow inmates, scribbling "It's Hammer Time" across news clippings about his crime. March 2014, Hadley pleaded no contest to 2 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms without parole. However, an appeal in 2016 led to a resentencing due to changes in how juvenile murderers were treated by the courts. December 2018, he received life in prison with a review possible after 25 years. During a 2024 court TV interview, Hadley tried to explain his actions. He admitted that after all these years, he still can't fathom how he did what he did.
Being an adolescent, okay, yeah, I understand you're immature and all that, okay, but it's just, I can't even explain it.
Still a mystery to you?
Yeah.
I think it was to stop all of our pain. And other than that, I can't answer that with any clarity. It's still not clear to me. It was just that one thought that kept on going.
The Hadley house was demolished in 2015, erasing the physical evidence but not the memory of that night. Tyler Hadley remains incarcerated at Gulf Correctional Institution, eligible for review in 2039.
I think I am treatable, but not worthy of the redemption of the opportunity.
Well, but if you thought Tyler's case was shocking, wait until you hear about the next person who also flipped on their own family.
You know, every girl said, oh, I wish my parents were dead, but I didn't mean it.
March 1st, 2008, a night that should have been quiet in Alba, Texas, exploded into horror when 16-year-old Erin Caffey's darkest plans came to life. Her family's home was invaded, not by strangers, but by people she knew, people she had convinced to carry out a brutal attack. Erin wasn't just a troubled girl. She was the mastermind behind a savage triple murder. Her mother, Penny, and her two brothers, Matthew and Tyler, were killed in their own home. Her father, Terry, was shot 5 times and barely survived. The Caffey family had been a picture of normalcy. Deeply Christian, homeschooling their kids, living in rural East Texas. Erin herself was part of the church choir, known for her sweet voice and once voted most likely to succeed. But behind that angelic face was a chilling secret.
We're peacefully asleep in our bed, and then all of a sudden our bedroom door flies open, and you can hear the door hitting the wall, like bam.
Late that night, the bedroom door slammed open. Terry woke to gunfire and screams. He immediately recognized one attacker, Charlie Wilkinson, Erin's boyfriend, who had been forbidden by her parents.
I was shocked, angry, hurt. This was a guy I was supposed to spend the rest of my life with, and he loved me.
What followed was unspeakable. Penny was shot and stabbed with a samurai sword and was nearly decapitated. Matthew was shot in the head after pleading,
Charlie, why are you doing this?
And Tyler was stabbed repeatedly. And then they set the house on fire. Terry's determination to survive was fueled by one thought. He had to live to identify who had done this. Crawling from the burning house, badly wounded, he made it to a neighbor's house to call for help. But the shock didn't end there. 2 days later, police searching Charlie Wilkinson's trailer found Erin herself, disguised with a blonde wig, claiming she had been kidnapped and drugged. But soon, her carefully crafted story collapsed under investigation. As detectives started piecing everything together, the cracks began to show. Friends came forward, messages were uncovered, and soon it became clear that Erin hadn't been an innocent bystander. She had been the one pulling the strings. When the truth finally surfaced, Erin was arrested and charged with 3 counts of capital murder. Despite being only 16, she was tried as an adult, facing the same charges as her older boyfriend and his friends. Her case never made it to a full trial. Instead, she accepted a plea deal, sparing her from a possible death sentence. 2009, Erin Caffey was sentenced to 2 life terms plus 25 years, with the possibility of parole when she turns 59.
It's all about choices, and the choices I made at a young age. Didn't think that it would affect, I just thought it was just affecting me.
Years later, Erin agreed to talk to Piers Morgan, claiming she was finally ready to be honest. But the moment he pressed her, she fell right back into denial, still trying to convince everyone she was another victim, not the mastermind. But the truth is, Erin's boyfriend and his friends slaughtered her entire family while she waited outside in the car, even staying on the phone with them, guiding every step. And yet, Erin still tried to downplay what she'd done. She called it a series of bad choices, as if it were some chain of small mistakes that somehow spiraled out of control. Also, there was no abuse, no neglect, just a good life, one she chose to destroy.
To kill your family. And I would laugh and joke about it, okay, and didn't take him seriously. I mean, he kind of had an anger problem, and just kind of blew him off.
The prosecution called Erin the most dangerous person they had ever met. a teenager whose outward innocence concealed a brutal and calculated mind. Meanwhile, Erin's father, Terry, faced an unimaginable heartbreak. Yet, in an extraordinary act of grace, he forgave his daughter. Terry's forgiveness and faith became his anchor. He turned to ministry and visited schools and churches, sharing his story of loss and healing. Erin remains imprisoned at the Hilltop Unit in Texas. Despite her small stature and sweet voice, she serves life sentences with parole possible decades away. Following the interview, Piers Morgan described Erin as the most evil woman I have ever met. Maybe in that moment, he saw what others had missed: the wolf in sheep's clothing, the girl who managed to manipulate her boyfriend and his friends into doing the unthinkable, wiping out her own family. Erin admitted she had the power to stop it, but chose not to. What she never admitted was that she had been the one pulling the strings all along.
Do you accept that your family would still all be alive if you had wanted them to be alive? In other words, you could have stopped this at any time.
Yes, oh yeah.
You accept that?
Yes.
So the question still lingers: will Erin Caffey ever truly grasp the full weight of what she's done? If you thought the betrayal and violence in this story were unimaginable, wait until you hear what happens next.
She's not sorry. She's sorry she got caught. That's the only thing she's sorry for.
April 2011, a text message pinged on Seath Jackson's phone. It was from his ex-girlfriend, Amber Wright, asking if they could meet to talk things out. At just 15 years old, Seath had no idea this simple message would be the beginning of the end. Amber Wright, then just a girl herself, had plotted a plan so twisted it would shock the entire community. Her breakup with Seath had been messy, filled with bitter accusations and public fights, but nothing could have prepared anyone for what came next. The message from Amber seemed innocent, just an attempt to clear the air and move forward. Seath, still hopeful for reconciliation, agreed to meet at a friend's mobile home in Summerfield, Florida. But as soon as he arrived, it became clear this was no ordinary conversation.
Mike was just saying, well, you should call Seth and all this stuff, and I was like, oh.
And why would he want you to call Seth?
Because he doesn't like him, and he told me he wanted to be, by him.
Inside the trailer, Amber's new boyfriend, Michael Bargo, waited with 3 others: Amber's own brother, Kyle Hooper, Charlie Ely, and Justin Soto. The group attacked Seath almost immediately, beating him over the head with wooden objects. When Seth tried to escape, Michael shot him. He was shot again as he attempted to flee, wounded but still fighting for his life. They dragged Seth's battered body to the bathroom, breaking his knees to fit him into a sleeping bag. He was shot one final time before his remains were burned in a backyard fire pit. The group then disposed of the evidence, putting Seath's ashes in paint cans and throwing them in a quarry.
Why did Seath have to die?
I don't know.
Detective Rhonda Stroop would later call Amber diabolical and the most dangerous 15-year-old I've ever encountered. The community, known for its quiet, religious lifestyle, was rocked by the brutality of the crime. People simply couldn't believe that a group of teenagers could carry out such a calculated and vicious act. Amber's role was clear. She had lured Seath to his death with that seemingly innocent text message. Her own brother and friends became willing participants in the gruesome plot. The murder was so cold-blooded that even seasoned law enforcement officers were stunned by its depravity.
Maybe people are gonna hate us for this. People that don't even know us are gonna be looking for us if we get out of this.
Why?
There's a 15-year-old kid murdered.
The investigation quickly revealed the full extent of the plan. Text messages, witness statements, and physical evidence painted a picture of premeditated murder. Amber, along with Michael, Kyle, Charlie, and Justin, were all charged with first-degree murder. The trials that followed pulled back the curtain on a disturbing world of teenage jealousy, control, and violence. Amber's first conviction was overturned on a technicality, but a retrial brought the same outcome: guilty. As for Michael Bargo, the mastermind behind it all, he was sentenced to death. The rest of the group will spend their lives behind bars. In a later interview, Seath's father, Scott, said,
I want to her and kill the bitch, and I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Deep down, I'm not a monster. I mean, I made bad mistakes, I made decisions, but the way everything is portrayed, I mean, it's horrible. So I guess I can be placed in that category.
But the family's pain was raw, their grief unimaginable. They had welcomed Amber into their home, never suspecting she could be capable of such evil. Amber Wright now sits in prison, serving a life sentence with the possibility of review after 25 years. 2016, she spoke publicly for the first time in an interview with Piers Morgan. For years, Amber insisted that she had fallen into Michael's trap, that she was young, scared, and couldn't say no to him.
We just got stupid and fell into Mike's trap. Yeah,
Like
that's
always.
exactly.
Like always.
Like always, because he knows he can talk me into anything. He knows he can.
But the lead investigator on the case still believes otherwise. In her view, Amber wasn't a victim at all. She was the manipulator, the one who set everything in motion.
I mean, I believe that she's manipulative. I believe she's diabolical. I believe that she really orchestrated a lot of this.
And the murder of Seath Jackson remains one of the most shocking cases in Florida's history. A tragic tale of betrayal, manipulation, and lost innocence. If you thought this story was disturbing, the next one will hit even harder. A man killed in cold blood, all for $50.
Why did I do what I did? Why did I hang out with the people that I hung out with? Why did I do this and why did I do that? And now I will carry this title for the rest of my life.
2010. Shannon Griffin believed that the night Jennifer Mee lured him to the St. Petersburg alleyway, he was going on a date. But what began as a seemingly innocent meetup quickly turned tragic, and the story behind it is even more complicated than you'd think. Jennifer Mee first gained national attention as the Hiccup Girl, a teenager whose bizarre, persistent hiccups turned her into a daytime TV darling.
Good morning to you all. I feel so bad for you, Jennifer. I know this started January 23rd, first period science class, out of nowhere.
She appeared on news broadcasts, radio shows, and morning talk programs across America. Her hiccups, which once reached nearly 50 per minute, baffled doctors and fascinated viewers. But the fame faded as quickly as it came. When her hiccups finally stopped, she slipped back into normal life. Or so it seemed. But 3 years later, Jennifer Mee's name would hit headlines again for a much darker reason. This time, the cameras captured her in a courtroom, not a TV studio, charged with first-degree murder. Years later, she faced the camera again and sat down with Piers Morgan, agreeing to finally talk about what happened to Shannon that night. But Jennifer wasn't ready to be honest. She claimed she couldn't remember everything that happened, and even tried to convince Piers of it. He didn't buy it.
The only reason Shannon is dead is because you lured him to a situation where he ends up dying. And so I would have thought that your brain, especially sitting here for the rest of your life.
Shannon Griffin was just 22 years old, a man who survived Hurricane Katrina, rebuilt his life in Florida, and took a job at a local supermarket. October 23, 2010, he left home dressed to impress, thinking he had a date with Jennifer. Instead, he walked into an ambush that would cost him his life. Jennifer's connection with Shannon started online, like so many modern tragedies. She'd promised to set up a marijuana purchase for him, but that was just the lure. What really awaited him behind the vacant house was a robbery, one that quickly spiraled out of control. As Shannon followed Jennifer into the alley, two of her accomplices, Laren Rayford and Lamont Newton, waited with a .38 caliber revolver. It was supposed to be a simple stick-up, but Shannon fought back, refusing to be an easy target. 4 gunshots later, he lay dying on the pavement. The three fled with less than $50 and a life sentence waiting for them.
Hi, Mama.
Hello, Jennifer. What's going on?
I'm in jail
Why are you in jail?
for murder in the first degree.
Who'd you kill?
I ain't killed nobody.
The case against Jennifer Mee didn't rely on her pulling the trigger. Under Florida's felony murder rule, Anyone who participates in a felony, like armed robbery, that results in death can be charged with murder, even if they didn't fire the weapon. The prosecution's star witness was Jennifer herself. In a recorded call from jail, she admitted,
I didn't kill nobody, but I set everything up. It all went wrong, Mom. It just went downhill.
That single statement sealed her fate. Her defense tried everything. They claimed she suffered from schizophrenia and Tourette's syndrome. They argued that her low intelligence made her easily manipulated by the real killers. But the jury took just 4 hours to find her guilty of first-degree murder. Jennifer Mee wept in the courtroom as the verdict was read. Life in prison without parole. Her co-defendant, Laren Rayford, had already been convicted and sentenced to life. The third, Lamont Newton, would follow suit.
I don't feel like I should be called a murderer, no. Now, do I feel like I should have gotten time in prison? Yes. The amount of time? No.
The irony is crushing. Jennifer Mee became famous
for something she couldn't control, her hiccups, and infamous for something she could.
And just like that, the hiccup girl who once captured America's sympathy now sits behind bars, her life defined by a single fateful decision. But if you think Jennifer's story is tragic, wait until you see what happened to our next case. A woman whose outburst cost many lives just because she hated Mondays.
Every day I live with, the knowledge that I took the lives of 2 men. And that's real difficult.
January 29th, 1979. That short-lived quiet morning outside Grover Cleveland Elementary School in San Diego would soon change American history forever. 16-year-old Brenda Spencer sat across the street from the school, peering through the scope of a .22 caliber rifle. Her father's Christmas gift just weeks earlier. As students waited for the gates to open, she began firing.
Do you remember the gun?
Mm-hmm. I remember the rifle because I had gotten that a month previous.
As a Christmas present?
Yeah, it was for Christmas.
Students and a responding police officer would be wounded. Principal Burton Ragg died trying to shield his students. Custodian Mike Suchar fell and was shot down while trying to help Ragg. And just like that, the school's routine and history itself were shattered by 36 rounds of calculated violence.
Although this wasn't the first school shooting in American history, for many, it was the first modern school shooting, and it happened by the hands of a teenage girl. Brenda's path to infamy began years earlier. After her parents' separation, she lived in poverty with her father, both sleeping on a mattress in a house filled with empty alcohol bottles. Teachers described her as introverted and sometimes unresponsive. Classmates called her pretty crummy looking and recalled her dark fascination with violence. She even openly expressed hostility towards the police, talking about wanting to shoot one. Just months before the attack, a psychiatric evaluation had recommended hospitalization for her depression. Her father refused. Instead, he gave her the rifle and 500 rounds of ammunition that would soon terrorize an entire community. Brenda's explanation for her rampage became infamous. That day, she said,
I don't like Mondays. This livens up the day.
These words, spoken during a phone call with a reporter during her 7-hour standoff, would echo through popular culture and inspire the Boomtown Rats hit song. But for San Diego and the victims' families, there was nothing lyrical about that morning.
But it's still because I was so many drugs and stuff, and it's just really fragmented on what I remember.
Police negotiations eventually convinced Brenda to surrender after they lured her with the promise of a Burger King meal. She later told investigators the victims were easy targets and compared shooting the students to shooting ducks on a pond. Her chilling lack of remorse would haunt parole boards for decades. Brenda was tried as an adult and pleaded guilty to 2 counts of murder and assault with a deadly weapon. She received a sentence of 25 years to life. In prison, she was diagnosed with epilepsy and depression. Despite several parole hearings beginning in 1993, she remains incarcerated at California Institution for Women in Chino.
I don't really know what it's like out there, dealing with the world as an adult. And I'd like to go to school and get a job and possibly work with some kids or in a program or something.
Her story is a disturbing study in missed warning signs, untreated mental illness, and the consequences of neglect. Brenda later claimed her father had subjected her to years of abuse, allegations he denied. But the truth of her upbringing remains one of many unanswered questions surrounding this case. Brenda's actions are also often seen as the start of a deadly American trend, a grim template for future school shootings. As she once admitted, "With every school shooting, I feel I'm partially responsible. What if they got the idea from what I did?" The shock of Brenda Spencer's attack continues to hold a place of infamy in American history. Every parole hearing reignites the debate about rehabilitation versus justice. Brenda's next parole hearing is set for 2028. And the question we ask is, can someone who shattered so many lives ever truly pay their debt to society?